Okay, hello everybody. I know some of you have been wondering what it is I'm going to do with this great big meter long tray. This is where I'm going to, well, let you know what I'm going to do with it. So I'm just going to start off here. We have some a mixed bag of little trees. We have there's a couple of field maples, we have a hawthorn, we have a cherry plum, we have a Prunus spinosa, and we have a little birch. And here the tree that really was waiting for, this is an English elm, which I got from a sucker growing under a farmer's hedge. I got several, but yeah, so let me go back to a few years ago and we'll look at this tree. And yeah, it looks like a big old blob of blobness. It needs some weeding, and well, I'll try and explain as we go. Okay, so this is my attempt to emulate a hedge, a pleached hedge in fact, which is an old-fashioned way of creating a hedge using trees and cutting them part way through and laying them down to create long straight lengths of hedge. You use less trees in that way. I guess it's part of its charm. If you're interested in seeing how a full-size hedge like this is tackled and created, there's a really good video, and I'll put a link in the description to that. So yeah, so underneath here there is what would essentially be a barrier to livestock, and what I've decided I'm going to do is, using this big old green tray, is to make the kind of hedge that we see alongside the fields in this part of the world, and possibly other parts, but certainly around here. It's a mixed species hedge using all of the types of trees that I've got here, and yeah, I'm going to pleach them all. Possibly they won't get pleached at this planting, but certainly it will be the beginnings of a planting of a hedge. So let's get in, and basically not going to be too gentle about it. You know, if you've seen them cut the hedges using a tractor, you'll know gentle is exactly what they're not. It's a question of bringing it back into line, not letting it get too overgrown out into the field or across the roadway. So basically I'm just going to be giving it a kind of short back and sides. At the moment I'm not actually sure which end of the tree I've got here. I have to find that out really. I'm thinking this is what would be the top of the tree, were it growing vertically. Let's just get rid of that weed, don't need that. So yeah, just hacking it back. be able to see this better if it was without leaves, obviously. I can't actually... there is the end of the trunk. How well can you see that, I wonder? Let me see if I can zoom in. Get rid of that. Still going to be a bit difficult, I think, for you to see, but basically the tree is cut part way through at this point, laid flat. It's not a raft because the trunk isn't touching the soil, so that's what makes it not a raft. But yeah, so basically that's all I'm literally going to do. It's just a bit of fun. I can hear bonsai purists gnashing their teeth and wailing. But tell me that isn't a hedge. I mean, come on. That's getting there. If it's not a... yeah, not a hedge, what is? So yeah, so obviously the next tree would be planted kind of here. Can you see where I'm gesturing? And then that would be pleached and laid down and intermingle with this one, and so on, from gate to back round to gate again. So I'm going to clear the decks and then we'll see about planting up this tray. Okay, so here's the tray. It had one big old hole in it. This is where the neighbour was using this. He would had it in his greenhouse under a grow bag of tomatoes, usually, apparently, and then he would put a cork in that hole, fill the tray up with water, allow the tomato plants to soak up all the water they wanted, and pull the cork out, drain the water away. So anyway, it's now got a big hole in it, so he doesn't want it anymore. So I've drilled lots of little holes, and this is going to be my hedge. And it's 1 metre long, so it's going to be a big hedge, but that's okay. So to start with, I'm going to position this. This is the end that is pleached, so I'm going to position this to the left of the planter, as it were, and I'm just literally going to pull it out of this seed tray. I'm not going to do much with the roots, I'm just going to loosen them up a little bit so they can work their magic outwards into the rest of the tray. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of central. I'm going to take a little bit off this end as well. The next plant is not going to go right up against this, obviously. There we go. That'll help the roots spread out some more. So now I've got this fairly central in the pot. As you can see, no rootage here. Okay, so now what I do is I'm going to take this large old elm and do I want to do the elm next? Yeah, let's do the elm next. So I'm going to shorten some scissors here somewhere. Okay, they've hidden themselves. I've hidden them. There they are. This I think will be my ultimate height when laid down, so I'm going to shorten that and shorten that slightly, and then it's just pressing knocking this out of its top. Now I'm not going to cut any of these roots, so I think it will cope with the root disturbance relatively well. I'm going to place this a short distance away, but in line with. I think I'm actually going to turn it 90 degrees. I may even wire this up and have it straighter before I pleach it. I'm not too worried about the depth. There's no nabari or anything to concern myself with at this point. Yeah, so that's the elm. And then I'm going to put in, can't see what you can see. Okay, the elm is in position. I'm going to put in this field maple. Again, a short distance away. I am going to trim these roots slightly. I'll sit there quite happily. I might have to move all that. I'm not sure I'm going to get all the trees in, to be honest with you. Okay, I definitely want to put in cherry plum. Now, this tree is far too short and thin really to pleach in this year, but again in another year or so I will go for it. When I do, I will video it. Okay, I'm not going to get all these plants in, so I'm going to put in the hawthorn next. Ouch. Not called hawthorn for nothing. Again, just mash the plant in because I'm not too concerned. Okay, and do I want the birch in as well? I am going to make room for the birch. I want this to be a multi-species hedge. So okay, so there's the basis of the hedge laid, and now I will just fill it in with compost, and then we'll come back and look at it then. Okay, so part way through filling in, so I'm going to put in some slow release fertilizer. Hopefully once these trees start to get out their roots out into this, they'll benefit no end from having a good feed, especially as they're all going to be crammed in together. So actually turn this around. This is I don't have any space on the benches for this tree. It's going to have to sit on the floor by the pond, but that's okay. I think it'll be happy enough there to watch out that it doesn't root down into the soil and begin to split the pot, but other than that I think it'll be quite happy. I've got quite a number of trees that sit around the edge of my pond area, and being on the ground does allow insects and things to get at it underneath, but honestly, you know, with the vine weevil problems I've had, having trees up on the benches hasn't kept the little blighters out either. So this is a much more organic mix than I've used on most of my other trees. There's a lot more compost in this, again because it's going to be a large area with 1, 2, 3, 6 trees, all competing for water and light and air and feed. I think I can get away with having a heavier soil mix and not worry too much about the plants rotting or being too wet. Okay, so that's the whole thing planted up. What I'm going to do is, with this little elm, I've just got a piece of wire and I'm just going to try and straighten it up just a little. I'm not looking for a vertical, you know, fabulously straight tree, but I just want it to be a little bit straighter than it was. There we go. That's better. I could do the same with this field maple, but I think it's probably okay. None of these are really thick enough to do the bleaching technique on at this point. That'll probably be done next spring. So yeah, watch out for a video on how my hedge is growing, and remember, have fun with your bonsai. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching and take care of yourselves.